Get started. First up, Ms. Kramer, Community Development.
The only item that I have is old business. It was tabled until June 6th, which allows the City of Massillon to enter into a capital improvement community park recreation conservative project pass-through grants with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources. So we placed this on hold and tabled it until administration was able to gather additional information.
Is there any from administration? Is there any updates regarding this matter? Seeing none.
That's all I have. Any questions regarding this? That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Kramer. Economic Development, Mr. Hernkate.
Thank you, Mr. Lombardi. There are 4 legislation requests for economic development inducement grants. We will take them one at a time. I guess I would ask if Mr. Maley would come up to the podium so we can talk about these. Mr. Chair. Mr. Bailey, you did pass out the inducement grant guidelines with the scoring sheets for all members of council. Thank you for doing that. The first one up is please prepare an ordinance for an economic development inducement grant for Straight Path Program Community Development Center for the amount of $7,500. Would you please elaborate further on that if you can?
Yeah, that is for a program located down on 325 3rd Street. It's a sort of a mentoring type of program. We have several representatives head with Cleveland here to speak directly about what they do. I think we do a lot of different things, so it's appreciated that you've given us the opportunity to go into detail.
Sure. Mr. Cleveland, would you like to step up to this microphone right here, please?
Yes, sir.
Is this a non-profit organization?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay, and are articles of incorporation filed with the state of Ohio? Everything is ready to go?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Feel free to tell us a little bit about Straight Path.
We actually have a community development center over at 325 3rd Street. We do a lot of mentoring. I did bring some of my team with me. Just will be introducing them as we're going along. I have Corey Redvine, who actually takes over. He is my assistant director. Plus, he does all of everything that we have to do with sports. We have Keontae Harris, which her company is Beautiful Weirdo, and she does everything with female mentoring from ages 10 to 17, and so does Corey. Excuse me. Then we have Ms. Gail Danzy, who actually is helping us along with our affordable housing project that we have coming up soon. I did pass out some information of some things that we have done over the time, and then some things that we're doing coming soon, which is we are an approved training provider to the state of Ohio. So you have a flyer that's going to have our home improvement classes on it. We're going to be doing a 6-week class, which is a training. So far, we're going to be going in the house, demolition, removing the demo. We'll be actually putting up drywall and painting. So those are classes that we have, and then I also have which is in my wheelhouse, an at-risk youth program from the ages 14 to 25.
Mr. Cleveland, one question I have. Do you own the building at 325 3rd Street Southeast?
No, we rent.
Who is the property owner?
F&M Properties.
Okay. Are there any questions from anyone on the Economic Development Committee? Mrs. Harvard-Smith?
What do you plan on using the funds for is one question. And then I also, as far as the people that you're providing the services for, is there a cost to your programs? Are you like strictly nonprofit, or you take donations, or do people pay for their classes or their mentoring?
We do, our mentoring programs are strictly free. Our summer program is actually $75. But we also we put forth scholarships to where it will be coming out of the company fund. So if they can't afford it, we'll put something toward it and let them come in. Right now we have our summer program that starts tomorrow. tomorrow morning. It's from 8 to 4, so that's what, and that goes from June to July the 28th. Excuse me. Also, we have, again, the at-risk youth program coming up also. And what was the rest of your question?
What do you intend on using the funds for, since you don't own the building?
Yes, actually for providing our summer program. So we plan on, we have it from 8 to 4, so we're doing breakfast and we're doing lunch. And then we will do field trips also. So those things are going, the funding will actually go towards both programs, both summer programs. And hopefully to help on some of the bills that we have within the building.
So you basically run on funds that, money that's given to you?
Yes, our biggest contributor is Out Caring Hands Home Care. They're actually on the other end of the building. It's a developmental disability company, special needs, and the owner and I are close, and she actually donates a lot of time and a lot of money to help us, run the programs that we have in running. So.
Any questions from any other members of council? Mrs. Creamer?
Yes, how long has Straight Path been in business?
I've been in business since 2018. We have been in this new building since January. Well, we opened up in January, but we had a couple months where we were painting and doing all the other renovations to the building.
How many participants do you have for your programs?
A number.
60. We are at 60 even.
And that includes the mentoring program, the job shadowing with the housing rehab.
We're actually, that's just counting the kids alone. We have basketball teams, AAU track programs. She brings in weekly, every Tuesday and Wednesday, at least 35 girls. 20 that's consistently comes in. With Ms. Gale in our tutoring program on Mondays, they are averaging at 15 to 17 students. And then I have 2 basketball teams, 11
Sir, excuse me, for recording purposes, could you come to the mic, please?
Yes. Sorry. But overall, we have 60 kids with all the programs put together. We have our girls program bringing in 35 kids every Tuesday and Wednesday. I just left the gym with 15 boys in there. We have different groups that we bring in as well. Outside the girls group, there's an older mentoring girls group that we do with the middle school girls. We try to keep the age group separate so they don't feel like they're with the younger kids. But we're taking in weekly on our sign-up sheets, in and out, well, feeding them every day. 60 kids. We only have the 3 staff and about 5 volunteers now, maybe 6. And we have 13 signed up for our summer program, which starts tomorrow. And all 13 of those kids are kids that are not counting the 60 we already have counting. These are all new kids coming into the program.
So is this just word of mouth, or have you been out of the schools publicizing this to increase participation?
It's been a lot of word of mouth. We let the kids pretty much reach out. When they bring in one, that's about 3 friends. A couple of dance parties we had, a glow stick party we had. We have Keontae who does a really good job of reaching out through social media, but when you reach and get the right kids, they'll bring in about 5 or 6. We've just been doing what we can to keep the doors open and doing things to keep them interested to come down there. So it's pretty much been word of mouth and of course social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat, things like that.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Sluse?
Thank you. I toured that facility a couple months ago, and I think it's a wonderful thing what they're doing. I appreciate everything you guys are doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Theriot?
Is this a house or a different sort of structure?
It's a school. Like we have one half of an old elementary school.
I believe it was the old Lincoln Elementary School, which came down years and years ago.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Cleveland? Mr. Cleveland, thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you. Mr. Bailey, I have one question. As a nonprofit organization, would they be considered, or were they considered for CDBG funding?
They should be considered CDBG. I'm not sure if they reached out to Ms. Walters or not with regards to the CDBG funding. Have you guys reached out there? I know me and the mayor and Samantha Walters were down touring the facility about a month or so ago. But at that time, I don't believe they had reached out to them.
We did apply for a CBDG fund, sorry. We did apply for a CBDG fund, and we will be receiving some money soon.
You'll be getting in the next round?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, Mr. Maley, thank you. I'll sign off on this, and we'll get this on the agenda and pass this around with the rest. We'll get this on the agenda for Monday. The next one is please prepare an ordinance for an economic development inducement grant for Liberty Screen printing and embroidery for the amount of $7,500. Mr. Maley?
Yes, Mr. Hernkane, this is for a screen printing and embroidery company that I believe is located over in Worcester. I think that's where they came from. Jason Crawford is the owner of the property. He purchased the building on Lincoln Way West and is moving his business over here. Jason is here if you want to give him the opportunity to speak about his business.
Sure, Mr. Crawford. So please feel free to tell us a little bit about your business and specifically your decision to relocate to the city of Massillon.
Okay. Lifelong Massillon resident, other than the time I was in the military. We've been in business since 2011. We operate as Liberty Screen Printing Embroidery and Liberty Tactical Equipment, which provides police and fire uniforms. We currently supply police and fire uniforms to every department in Wayne County and some surrounding counties. Hopefully, once we move to Massillon, that business will expand to Massillon and Stark County departments as well. We are in a position where our current building was purchased and the new owners would like us to move out so they can turn it into a community theater. After that happened, we had the opportunity to purchase the old Moore's Lawn Garden building on Lincoln Way. We did purchase that in April, and we've since been painting, updating, getting ready to move our business. We're scheduled to move our big equipment into that building on June 14th, and we have till July 31st to get out of our current building.
Very good. Any questions from the Economic Development Committee? Any question? Yes, Mr. Derrick.
This building, as far as size-wise, is going to accommodate what you need for a while?
More than, yes, sir.
Awesome.
Yes, it's a great space for us. We're really excited.
Thank you.
Any questions from other members of council? Mr. Gregg?
Thank you, Mr. Hernkane. I always like to hear specific details regarding what you're planning to use the funds for.
Sure. If you drive past the building now, you'll see that it's been pressure washed. All the John Deere green paint is coming off of it. The building's being repainted next week by S.E. Johnson Painting. It'll be a nice, solid color, new awnings, some moving expenses, some signage. The money we're putting into it well exceeds the $7,500 that we requested. But we do appreciate any help that the city is willing to give us. But I think we'll get rid of the green and gold eyesore on the west side and make it look nice.
Mr. Crawford, thank you. Mr. Maley, is there anything else you care to add on this?
No, Mr. Chairman.
I'll sign this and pass it around as well. We'll get this on the agenda for first reading on Monday. The next one, please prepare an ordinance for an economic development inducement grant for Discount Tire Outlet. This is in the amount of $10,000. Mr. Maley?
Mr. Chairman, the owner, Tom Green, was supposed to be here tonight. I don't know why he's not. He did say he might have a conflict, but never got back to me. I'd appreciate maybe if we could do this, maybe put it on and then just give it first read, give him the opportunity to come back to the next work session, talk about what he's doing. I think he needs to talk about what he's doing. It's really kind of exciting. He's been working on this project for quite some time, where it'd be a small restaurant, a barber shop out in the Discount Tire facility. So if you don't mind doing that, I'd appreciate it.
No, that's fine. We'll deal with questions later when he's able to attend, and we'll sign this and get it on for first reading.
Thank you.
The last one, please prepare an ordinance for an economic development inducement grant for Kathy Boyd's Hair Studio. This is the amount of $5,000. Mr. Maley?
Chairman, this is for an expansion grant for Kathy Boyd's hair studio. She received a prior grant a little while ago. She's located in the Town Plaza at 212 Federal Avenue Northwest. And I guess the first grant we gave her was such a big hit, she's back and expanding quite a bit. Actually, we're kind of excited more. So Kathy's here, if you'd like to hear a little bit about more of what she's doing.
Sure, Ms. Boyd.
Hi, I just want to thank everybody for this opportunity. My name is Kathy. I got my daughter Israel Robinson with me, and she does nails at my salon. I've been a Massillon resident all my life. I've been independent contractor doing hair for 34 years in Massillon. In 2019, I renovated my whole salon. I put $28,000 of my own money into my business. And it definitely was a great hit. You guys got me the sign out on my roof. I mean, my customers definitely appreciated it. And with that being said, I now have a full staff of 9 people, and I can't even fit one more person in my shop. So my landlord gave me the opportunity when there's 2 places next to me. They went out of bid, or they moved their business. He asked if I wanted to, make some type of a deal so that I could expand my salon. So we did, and I took over both spaces, so that's going to triple my location. So I'm going from like 1,500 square feet to almost 4,000. So as you guys know, anytime you do a large renovation, it's definitely, a lot of money, and it's a hardship for someone like me, a little mom and pop shop. And like I said, in 2019, I invested $28,000 of my own money. And with the money I plan on, buying, and when I open it up, I'm going to have tanning. I'm going to have 4 tanning beds, 2 spray booths. I would like to hire 2 more estheticians, 3 nail technicians, 3 to 4 more hairstylists. That way when I expand, I have more room for that. Right now I can't. And I don't know, I just really appreciate this opportunity, and I just want to invest back into Massillon. I don't know if you guys know, but a salon up the street, they just moved their business out of Massillon. They had 25 people that they employed. So they moved out of Massillon, and I just want to invest back into Massillon, not only for myself, but for my daughter. So I appreciate this opportunity.
Thank you, Kathy. Any questions or comments from the Economic Development Committee? Other members of council, Mr. Gregg, I believe she already preemptively answered your question. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Raley, thank you. I'll sign this. We'll get all these on the agenda for first read on Monday.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Lombardi?
Thank you, Mr. Hinking. Health, welfare, and dwelling regulations, Mr. Sleuths.
I have nothing this evening, thank you.
And that takes us to me, police and fire. And we do have one on here. It's to accept a...
Parks and Recs, didn't we?
Oh, all right, I'll do it. Sorry. We do have one here for police and fire where the citizen has made a donation of $100 to the police department. And we just have legislation that we need to sign and vote on to accept that. So I'll be signing that, putting that on the agenda for Monday. And that's all for police and fire. Park to Rec, sorry, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Lombardi.
For Parks and Rec, I have nothing new. I don't know, we don't have the wording yet on the grant for the splash park that it can be at any park. So we can't, are we allowed to discuss it yet, or not till we get the wording? As far as locations of the splash park?
I was hoping to have that discussion with administration, since they had no update this evening.
Okay, so we'll just,
Since here comes Mr. Randy, since it falls under community development.
Just a brief update, because I haven't had a chance to see, my understanding is capital bill did pass. We haven't actually seen the language yet. So I'll have to see, when we see the language in the capital bill, if they exempt that for the exemption. That's the only update. So we'll have something next week.
okay. Thank you, I have nothing else for Parks and Rec.
Thank you, Ms. Hardwick Smith. Public Utilities, Mr. Sneak.
I have nothing this evening, thank you.
Thank you. Streets, Highways, Traffic and Safety, Mr. Perry.
Nothing this week, thanks.
And I skip Mr. Craig. Rules and Courts.
Nothing for rules and courts this evening.
Okay, and that ends us up with Mr. Craig again for Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Lombardi. First, we have a number of items this evening. First one is, please prepare legislation to appropriate from the unappropriated balance of the Economic Development Fund 1237 to the following account: 1237.845.5.2392, $7,500 to service and contracts. Appropriation is needed for the following: an economic development inducement grant, Straight Path Community Development Center located at 325 3rd Street Southeast, Massillon, Ohio. Director Edwin Cleveland is requesting funds for startup costs, including build-out equipment, etc. So obviously we've discussed, the first few of these are all from the inducement grants that we've already discussed. Any questions regarding the finance part of it? Seeing none, we will sign that, put that on the agenda for Monday. Next piece is very similar. It's the request for legislation for the Economic Development Grant for Liberty Screen Printing and Embroidery located at 2922 Lincoln Way Northwest, Massillon, Ohio. The owner, Jason Crawford, is requesting funds for startup costs, including build-out equipment, etc. This is, again, $7,500 going to the 1237 funds, service and contracts. Any questions? Seeing none, we move on to please prepare legislation to appropriate from the unappropriated balance of the Economic Development Fund 1237 to the following account, the same account, $10,000 service and contracts. So this is this request is needed for an economic development inducement grant from Discount Tire Outlet located at 2034 Southway Street, Southwest, Massillon, Ohio. The owner, Tom Green, is requesting funds for startup costs, including build-out equipment, etc. As Mr. Mailer requested, we will put this on the agenda, plan to give the first reading on Monday. Any questions? Next one is, please prepare legislation appropriate from the appropriate balance of the Economic Development Fund 1237 to the following account: $5,000 in service and contracts for an economic development inducement grant for Kathy Boyd's Hair Studio located at 212 Federal Avenue Northwest, Massillon, Ohio. The owner, Kathy Boyd, is requesting funds for startup costs, including build-out equipment, etc. Any questions? Next one is, please prepare an ordinance to appropriate from the unappropriated balance of the general fund, account number 1100-110-4-1841, sponsorship program, the sum of $3,600 to account number 1100-110-52411, sponsorship programs. The legislation is necessary to allow for paying for the printing of memorial banners for which the funds have already been collected from the banner sponsors. This does have emergency wording on it to allow for timely payment of printing expenses. Would anybody from administration like to discuss? Come forward.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, this is basically to take the funds that were deposited into the revenue account. The 1100-110 for 1841 is where the checks were deposited, and then the amount that needs to be transferred over into the expense account so that the vendor can be paid then for the banners. There was no, that's the exact cost that we are being charged from the vendor for the expense of the banners. It's $75, and that's what they're charging per banner, so that will be paid. So this is basically the pass-through, as all of you know how the accounting system works. You have the revenue account, and then it has to go to the expense account to be able to release the funds from that account.
I saw the banners up, they looked amazing. Love this this past weekend. This past weekend, I think, was an excellent honor for our veterans that have fallen. Any questions or comments? Okay, thank you. I'll put this on the agenda for Monday. Next item, please prepare legislation to establish a new fund entitled One Ohio Fund, Fund 1224, and receive and expend funds in accordance with the One Ohio Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, and future frequently asked questions and other guidance issued by the state of Ohio. This fund is needed to deposit proceeds from the One Ohio Opioid Settlement Fund and does not require separate approval from the auditor of state. This does have emergency language on it to have the fund established prior to the city of Massillon receiving a share of the settlement. Someone from the law department would like to update us on this.
Good afternoon, Council. Councilman, essentially, you asked for an update. Unfortunately, the way that the settlement funds are being trickled out, we don't know when. We've been told that it's soon. Now, soon is a relative term, of course. So soon could be tomorrow. Soon could be 2 months or 5. But we can't accept them until, per the settlement, we have a specific fund set up because they can only be used for certain things. So they have to be separated from all of the monies. So we're just kind of anticipating. We're laying out the milk and cookies, and we're getting ready for Santa to come, but we just don't know when.
All right, thank you. Any
Yep.
questions? Mr. Richard? Thank you, Mr. Richard.
Yep.
We will sign that and put that on the agenda for Monday. Next, we have a resolution to proceed with the submission of the question of the approval or disapproval of the text described in resolution number 6, 2022 to the electors of the city of Massillon, and also directing the Stark County Board of Elections to place said question on the ballot for the general election to be held on November 8, 2022. A copy of resolution number 6, 2022 and the resulting certificate of the Stark County Auditor are attached to this request. It does have emergency language on this. Anybody from administration that can come forward to discuss this?
Yes, Chairman Gregg. As previously promised, when I gave you the coming attractions last time we discussed this matter, there were 2 resolutions that were required. There was the resolution to certify to the county auditor to receive the auditor's certificate, and now there's the resolution to proceed. This will go to the Stark County Board of Elections to actually request that the matter be placed on the board, the general election ballot. We do have Alexander Kuhn from the museum here to answer any substantive questions you might have for the museum. It's kind of an interesting dichotomy we have here where it comes to the city council to be placed on the ballot, but the museum is operated by a nonprofit, so I did want to make sure that she was here and she was more than willing to appear and do so. But as far as procedural, if you have any procedural legal questions, I can cover those, or any questions about museum operations or maintenance, etc. She's here to cover those as well.
I have no questions regarding the resolution. Anybody have questions regarding, for our law director? Anybody have questions for our museum director? Would you like to come and address city council?
Hello. Thank you so much for affording us the opportunity and having to answer any questions with rising inflation costs and the continued operation of the museum being requisite of this particular replacement. It will generate enough additional funds to help us continue service to the community.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Perry.
So I'm sure this would be the lion's share of your funding for the year.
It is actually, we operate as a free museum, we have since 1933. So in lieu of admission and in lieu of having major fundraising events each year, we're able to provide almost all of our programming at no cost as a result of this levy support.
Thank you.
Mrs. Harwood Smith.
So what is our current that the city of Massillon residents are paying for the levy? And if this is not on there, does the current one expire or continue?
No, that's a good question. So this is a 1.5 mil replacement levy. It runs through 2023. And so being placed on the ballot, the collection would start in 2023. We'd see the new funds in 2024, March, thereabouts. So this is a replacement of the existing 1.5 mil levy to capture current tax valuation, but not an increase of the millage.
So it's not an increase, it's just to continue what we already have.
Correct.
That's all I have.
So just to clarify, the millage doesn't increase, but because of increased property taxes, that the amount that's going to be generated will increase.
It would generate an overall addition of $200,000 total for the museum a year.
Any other questions? I neglected to read the reason for the emergency language. I'll read that now. To ensure the orderly and timely submission of the proposed levy to the Stark County Board of Elections by the filing deadline for the 2022 general election, and to ensure the generation of sufficient tax revenues for the purpose of the maintenance and operation of a free public museum of art, science, or history. So we'll put this on the agenda for Monday. Thank you. And finally, I have one request for transfer. The street department is requesting $15,000 to be transferred from city collections and fees to service and contracts. Mrs. Sylvester, do you have any comment on this?
Yes, as stated here, we are using this transfer to realign our budget. We have to replace the attenuators down on 21 and Cherry Road with accidents, an accident there. Actually 2 accidents, both sides. The attenuators need to be replaced. We need the additional $15,000 to be put into the services and contracts line. And it is available from the city collection fees that we won't be having expenses out of. So rather than appropriating the money from the carryover, we're just going to make a transfer and realign the budget to pay those expenses for the attenuators.
So that's something we anticipate in our budgeting, that we have expenses like this we need to cover.
We do, because again, you know, most times the attenuators are there. They are there to protect people when they do have an accident into the guardrails, the attenuators, extra protection, but they were damaged so bad that we do have to replace them.
Any questions or comments? Mr. Barrett?
Maybe a dumb question. From the accidents, do the insurance coverage ever pay back any of that? Or are you able to recoup any of that?
We do always try to recoup, but the $15,000 is what we're not able to recoup. So.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good question.
No further questions? Thank you. And that's it for finance. So that's it for this evening. Mr. Martin.
No, that's it. We can, we're dismissed.